Good morning. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professional IGP. Greetings from the Institute of Global Professional IGP. Thank you all for joining us and staying with us till the end. Honorable Knowledge Seeker, today I am your host for the morning. My name is Badhandash. I am from Bangladesh. Dear Knowledge Seeker, I am proud to be associated with IGP. IGP is a social and ISO certified international educational and training institute. In last 3 years, we already served 35 million plus knowledge seekers from 100 plus countries. IGP is internationally recognized and globally accredited. We are connected to more than 450 plus profession and 4,500 plus organizations. Institute of Global Professional IGP is a training faculty for skill development which was founded in 2020 and is generating competent candidates to meet demand in the global labor market by providing professional qualification. The Institute of Global Professional IGP is an educational institute that provides social work globally recognized and reportable. We serve student community resource providing holistic social work and education. We believe that it's not effective to increase one skill just by acquiring formal education. So we provide effective training and consultation to generate proficient generation all over the world. We distribute our services locally, nationally, and internationally to student job seeker, job holder, and also for learners to respective campus location and distance learning platform. We are an occupational and dependable institute. IGP is one of the famous online institutes from all over the world. Our vision is education is not a business product, it's a part of our human rights. Based on our vision, we are trying to reach all corners of the world for webinar, seminar, courses, award, quiz competition, mentoring, and counseling, etc. On the other side, we are also trying to offer more than 100 premium services for free like create own portfolio website, resume builder, cover letter, motivation letter, and one knowledge platform for gathering general knowledge which can upgrade all day. Kids learning game, website free course, convert sites, and many more. We help to empower you to learn to meet their expectation, dream, and become highly skilled people. We implement several training programs, web and offline online courses for youth and learner by professional trainer, speaker, and coaches. Our sessions are conducted by globally renowned professionals to develop all kind of youth and to promote the education of their abilities and personalities. Spreading knowledge is crucial for the Institute of Global Professional. We believe that knowledge is love and light and vision. So we try to understand the needs of today's generation and we serve them with good research and practice method. We must have a genuine concern for the learner we represent. More diversity, growth, and innovation are required to lead a session with professionalism, passion, and integrity. IGP members are committed to offer individual who can improve their skill level and value. Before we move to the next, let me remind, don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable for us. Thank you. Before we move to the next, let me remind, don't forget to share, tag, and mention your friend in the comment box. Your support is very valuable for us. Thank you. Moving to the next, with your continuous support, we already completed 1,536 webinars. Support. We already completed 1,536 webinars successfully. evolve. We change and design our website. www.eduigp.com. On this website, we have surprise for everyone. Hope you will be benefited. We already launched our new website where you can find all our previous activities together with lots of new features. But one strong point is that without an account or logged in, you cannot enjoy our services. So create your account for once with profile information. Note that with profile information, you will enjoy all features. With mismatched data, you cannot do anything here. From now on, you have to participate in live quiz competition on our website. We replace Slido. You have to join directly on our website. Now you can check all of our previous webinars with verified e-certificate. Now it's easier and time oriented because after the session we will not provide you with any code for certification. You have to take part in one exam. After that, if you pass, you will get your certificate, otherwise not. But you can take part in an exam unlimited till you pass. If you are an IGP speaker, you can download all your previous certificate, speakership certificate. If you are a host of IGP, you can download your certificate of gratitude. If you are an online live quiz competition winner, you can download your certificate of participation. If you are selected for a lifetime membership, then you can download a certificate of lifetime membership easily. Besides this, if you participate in any award function which organized combined support with IGP, you can download that also. You can instantly prepare and download 18 types of instant certificates from our website within a minute. Certificate of Global Professional Membership, Certificate of Global Influencer during the pandemic, Certificate of Active Knowledge Seeker, Certificate of Social Activities during the pandemic, Certificate of Achievement IGP Knowledge Seeking Campaign 2020, Certificate of Achievement IGP Knowledge Seeking Campaign 2021, Certificate of Achievement IGP Knowledge Seeking Campaign 2022. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 1 Authentic Assessment in Teaching Learning. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 2 Teaching English as a Foreign and Language and Assessment. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 3 Digital Classroom Engagement Tools. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 4 The New Trend in Education. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 5 Upskilling Organizational Leadership and Managerial Skills. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 6 Trend and Innovation in Mathematics Education. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 7 Research Comprehension Approach. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 8 Art in Teaching a Special Program in the Art. Certificate of Participation Webinar Series 9 21st Century Tools in Teaching Mathematics. Certificate of IGP Corporate Ambassador, Certificate IGP Campus Ambassador, which you can prepare and download within a minute. From now on, you can participate in 1000 plus international level quizzes with verified e-certificate. Teaching tips for teacher, health tips for parents, health tips for teens, gamification tools for teacher. You can join IGP alumni. You can check out our 50 plus premium services website for free and many more. Dear IGP well-wisher, we promised previously, but lack of technical issue, we are late sending you on time. This is a great opportunity to collect your previous expenditure. We solved all issues from our website. Now you can reset password everything. You can check your dashboard for all webinar details. It's a cordial request to you. Check all buttons and pages on our website. Surely I can say you will be benefited. Thank you. But note that without an account or logged in, you cannot enjoy our services. At present, we are going to start our 1537 webinar, which name is Cloud Computing. And today our speaker name is Dr. Anjum Nazir Warishi. She is from India. Before I hand off the stage to our speaker, ma'am wants to share a very little bit about her. Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication, Rajiv Gandhi College of Engineering, Research and Technology, Chandrapur. Now, very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with her presentation. Now, very important moment for me to invite our speaker to IGP with her presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I hope I'm audible. You're able to
Hello,
hear me,
ma'am.
ma'am?
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. I hope you're able to hear me.
Ma'am, please present your presentation.
Okay,
Ma'am,
okay.
please check your volume system. It's too low to hear. We can't hear you properly.
Now is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. Now it's better. Ma'am, please present your presentation. Yeah. Okay, ma'am. The stage is yours. You can start your presentation now.
Yeah, thank you. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Anjum Qureshi, and today I will be speaking on the topic cloud computing. Firstly, I would like to thank the whole team of Institute of Global Professionals for this wonderful opportunity to share my knowledge regarding one more topic, that is cloud computing. Like today, we are talking about different kinds of technologies. We are talking about IoT, we are talking about artificial intelligence, blockchain, and many more technologies. Especially if we talk about IoT, uh, it it involves a lot of data transfer, a lot of data is being processed, and there is where we need cloud computing. And moreover, when we are using our phones nowadays, you must have seen that if like iCloud, MiCloud, whatever you're using, or the Google Cloud. So those all terms we are using every day. So in my presentation today, we'll be learning about just the basic of cloud computing, because it is such a vast topic that if we need to go into technicalities of the technical part of cloud computing, I think it will be requiring more time. And today, in this presentation, I would like to give you the basic idea of cloud computing, like what are the different kind of cloud computing models, how they are used and where they are used. Because when there are different types of clouds, so obviously there will be different types of usage. We can not be using the same clouds. So let's start. So cloud computing, if we talk, uh, I would like to start with just a basic definition that has been given by the US National Institute of Standards and Technology. It defines cloud computing as a model for enabling disastrous, convenient, on-demand network access to a shared pool of a configurable computing resources. Example, networks, servers, storage, application, and services that can be rapidly provisioned and released with minimal management effort or service provider. So this is what how the cloud computing is defined, because you can see somewhere cloud. If we talk about, we can say it is an invisible storage space that is available to you. All your data is being stored on it without the need of having some storage space, like just maintaining a control room, maintaining a server room, and all that is not required when you're working with clouds. So let's start with some of the essential characteristics of the cloud. The first one is the on-demand self-service. A consumer can unilaterally provision computing capabilities to server time and network storage as needed automatically without requiring human interaction with each service provider. The second one is the broad network access. Capabilities are available over the network and access to standard mechanisms that promote use by heterogeneous thick or thin client platforms. For example, the mobile phones, tablets, laptops, and workstations that we are using. Then the third one is the resource pooling. The provider's computing resources are pooled to serve multiple consumers using a multi-tenant model with different physical and virtual resources dynamically assigned and reassigned according to consumer demand. The second, yeah, few more characteristics that we have for the cloud. The one is the measured service, where the cloud systems automatically control and optimize resource use by leveraging a metering capability at some level of abstraction appropriate to the type of service. Some of its examples are storage, processing, bandwidth, and active user accounts. The the resource usage can be monitored, it can be controlled and reported, providing the transparency for both the provider and the consumer of the utilized service. Then we have the rapid elasticity. Capabilities can be elastically provisioned and released, and in some cases, even automatically, to scale rapidly outward and inward commensurate with demand. And the next one that we have is yeah, to the customer, when we talk about rapid elasticity, to the customer, the capabilities available for provisioning often appear to be unlimited and it can be appropriated at any quantity and at any time. Now, coming to the next one, that is the common characteristics. Now, some of the common characteristics that we can see is, of course, massive scaling, then the resilient computing that we have. Homogeneity is the geographic distribution. It has advanced security, and it is a service-oriented technology and virtualization. It's a low-cost software. Sometimes the implementation cost can be, buying the cloud can be costly sometimes. But if you see the overall how it is going on, so it is considered to be a low-cost software sometimes, in the long run. Now, coming to the next one, that is the cloud service models. Yeah. Basically, if we talk about the cloud service model, there are three types of cloud service model: software as a service, infrastructure as a service, and platform as a service. There are three types of models. So we'll be starting with the first one, that is software as a service, which is abbreviated as SaaS. So this model, it is a capability to provide to the consumer is to use the provider's applications running on a cloud infrastructure. The applications are available from various client devices. It can be either through a thin client interface, such as a web browser, like we are using our emails every day, or a program interface. The consumer here will not manage or control the underlying cloud infrastructure, including network, servers, operating systems, storage, or even individual application capabilities, with the possible exception of limited user application configuration settings. The best example of software as a service is the Google spreadsheet. Yes, I think if you are using the Google tools, you must have used the Google spreadsheet. So it is just an example of software as a service. Then the other two models is in cloud infrastructure as a service and platform as a service. So the IaaS, that is infrastructure as a service, it is a capability which is provided to the provision processing, storage networks, and other fundamental computing resources. The consumers can deploy and run the arbitrary software. The examples of IaaS models are Amazon Web Services and FlexiScale. The third one is the platform as a service, which is abbreviated as PaaS. It is a capability provided by the consumer to deploy onto the cloud infrastructure consumer created or acquired applications that are created by using programming languages, libraries, services, and tools supported by the provider. The consumer does not manage or control the underlying cloud infrastructure, including network, service, operating system, or storage, but the consumer will have control over the deployed applications and possibly also over the configuration settings for the application hosting environment. Coming to the characteristics of software as a service. The first characteristic is the web access to a commercial software. The second, that the software is managed from a central location. We don't need to manage. Otherwise, what we do is like when we have our system, we are managing software. But here, the software is not managed by the user, but it is being managed by the provider. And the third is the software is delivered into a one-to-many model. Yes, it is the same software and it is being used by many. And the fourth is users are not required to handle software upgrades and patches. Yes, like if you see, if for our laptop, if we have you have a firewall or some kind of antivirus software, so you will have to keep on updating it. You will have to keep on updating the versions of the different softwares that we're using normally. But when we are using the clouds here, when we are using the SaaS model, then you don't need to update the softwares. The provider will automatically be doing it as and when required. And then the application programming interfaces API, it will allow for integration between different pieces of software use. Of course, interoperability is again required. That is a very interesting feature of the SS model, where the different types of softwares can be used. Because when when we are working, so we will have to use the different types of softwares, and interoperability is required. Then, so coming to the next one, where we'll be using the software as a service model. So the first one, we can say that applications where there is a significant interplay between organization and the outside world. Now, the best example is the email, because newsletter combining software, if you can see, yes, we have been using this every day. Every one of us, most of us, we can say, who are, if we are working, if we have a mobile, if we have a laptop, this is something, emails, that we do nearly every day. Application, the second one is the applications that have need for web or mobile access. Example, the mobile sales management software. The third one is software that is only to be used for a short-term need. Fourth, the software with the demand spikes significantly. Example, the tax billing software. And some of the examples of the SaaS model are the Salesforce Customer Relationship Management, that is CRM software. So these are some of the applications where the SaaS model will be used. But of course, there should be some of them where we can't be using this model. So now let's discuss that. Yes. So these are some of the applications where software as a service model cannot be considered as the best option. The first one is applications where extremely fast processing of real-time data is needed. Yes, of course, when you're working with some real-time data and you need a fast processing, then in that case, this may not be suitable for you. The second one is the application where legislation or other regulation does not permit data being hosted externally. And the third one is applications where an existing on-premise location solution fulfills all of the organization need. So these are three of the applications, I can say, where software as a service model is not considered to be suitable. Now, coming to the next model, that is PAS. So some of its characteristics, yes, first, the services to develop, test, deploy, host, and maintain applications in the same integrated development environment. All the varying services needed to fulfill the application development process. Web-based user interface creation tools help to create, modify, test, and deploy different UI scenarios. Multi-tenant architecture, where multiple concurrent users utilize the same development application. Built-in scalability of deployed software, including load balancing and failover, and integration with the web services and databases through some common standards, and support for development team collaboration. Some past solutions include project planning and communication tools. And lastly, it involves the tools to handle billing and subscription management. Now, let us see some of the scenarios where PaaS model is being used. PaaS is especially useful in any situation where multiple developers will be working on a development project or where other external parties need to interact with the development process. PaaS is useful where developers wish to automate testing and deployment services. The popularity of agile software development, a group of software development methodologies based on iterative and incremental development, will also increase the update of PaaS as it eases the difficulties around rapid development and iteration of software. Some of the examples of PaaS are Microsoft Azure and the Google App Engine. Now let's see where the PaaS model can be used. Where it can't be used. The scenarios where PaaS is not ideal. The first one is where the applications need to be highly portable in terms of where it is hosted. The second one, where the proprietary languages or approaches would impact on the development process. Then the third is where a proprietary language would hinder later moves to another provider and the concerns are raised about vendor lock-in. And the fourth, where application performance requires customization of the underlying hardware and software. So these are some of the scenarios where the PaaS model cannot be used. Let's talk about the another model that is infrastructure as a service, IaaS. Here, the first one is the resources are distributed as a service. It allows dynamic scaling. It has a variable cost utility pricing model, and it includes multiple users on a single piece of software. So these are some of the characteristics of IaaS. So now let's see where IaaS can be used and where it can't be used. So the scenarios where IaaS, infrastructure as a service model, can be used. The first one is where the demand is very volatile. Anytime there are significant spikes and throws in terms of demand on the infrastructure for new organizations without the capital to invest in hardware. Yes, this is the best part where the cloud computing is being used because you don't need to invest on the hardware side. You don't need to maintain your service. You don't need to maintain so much of storage space for the data because when we are working with organizations, there is a lot of data that has to be stored, that has to be processed, that has to be transferred. So in that case, cloud computing works a lot. The third one is where the organization is growing rapidly and scaling hardware would be problematic, of course, as the software, as the data with you, it keeps on increasing, it keeps on growing. If we don't have the cloud facilities, obviously the facilities required to store the data, it will be added, means extra hardware will be required. But if you go with the cloud computing, the needs for having extra hardware to store the data is being eliminated. The fourth one, where IaaS should be used, is when there is a pressure on the organization to limit the capital expenditure and to move to operating expenditure and for specific line of business or temporary infrastructural needs. This, of course, when because when we are using so much of investing so much on hardware side or the storage of the data, so we can't be concentrating on another issues. But if this need is eliminated, of course, we can be investing the same capital in the development of the organization. And yes, of course, as we saw the other two models where they cannot be used, where they are not considered to be ideal. So yes, of course, IaaS also has some of the scenarios where it is not considered to be the best option. The first one is where regulatory compliance makes the offshoring or outsourcing of data storage and processing difficult. And the second is where the highest levels of performance are required and on-premise or dedicated hosted infrastructure has the capacity to meet the organization's needs. Coming to the types of clouds, the different types of deployment models. The first one is the private cloud. The second is the community cloud. The third one is the public cloud. And the fourth is, of course, the hybrid cloud. So these are the four deployment models. So let's just see in short what they mean. The private cloud is the infrastructure that is operated solely for an organization. For example, the Windows Server. The community cloud, it is the cloud infrastructure that is shared by several organizations and it supports a specific goal. The third type of cloud is public cloud. The cloud infrastructure is made available to the general public. For example, we are using the Google tools like the Google Docs, Google Spreadsheet, so that are all a part of the public cloud. And the fourth one is the hybrid cloud. The cloud infrastructure is this type of cloud infrastructure is a composition of two or more clouds. That is the private, community, or public. The example for the hybrid clouds are cloud bursting for load balancing between clouds. So these are the four basic types of clouds, and now let's see the details of it. So, coming to the first one, yeah, public cloud. The public cloud it is a cloud infrastructure that is provisioned for open use by the general public. It may be owned, managed and operated by a business, academic or government organization, or some combination of them. It exists on the premises of the cloud provider. Some of the examples of the public cloud are Google App Engine, Microsoft Windows Azure, IBM Smart Cloud, Amazon EC2. So these are the few examples of public cloud. And yes, of course, I know some of you will must be using it every day. So coming to the next part of it. In public setting, the provider's computing and storage resources are potentially large. The communication links can be assumed to be implemented over the public internet, and the cloud serves as a diverse pool of clients and possibly attackers. As here you can see in the diagrams, you can be seeing, if you see the diagram over here, it shows that yes, we have a cloud provider, and here the clouds and the clients can be initiating the access, the computers in the network will be providing a service. Then there are the public clients that are accessing the clouds over the network. Then the hardwares that we have, it can be new, it can be old or a defective hardware. And we also have the boundary controller that will be actually seeing how the clients are accessing the public cloud from within the security parameter, and the options subscribe the control security parameters and all. So those are all being controlled by the public cloud by the cloud provider. Then in the public cloud, the workload locations are hidden from clients. In the public scenario, a provider will migrate a subscriber's workload, whether processing or data at any time. Workload can be transferred to data centers where the cost is low. The workloads in public cloud may be relocated anywhere at any time unless the provider has offered optional location restriction policies. The second, I would like to talk about the risk from multi-tenancy. Now, a single machine, if you see over here, it is shared by the workloads of any combination of the subscribers. A subscriber's workload may be coincident with the workloads of competitors or adversaries. It introduces both reliability and security risk. Then the organizations that are considering the use of an on-site private cloud should consider firstly is the network dependency. Of course, that is the public. So here the subscribers connect to providers through the public internet. The connection depends on the infrastructure like the domain name system, that is the DNS servers, and router infrastructure and the inter-routing links. The public cloud, it also has a limited visibility and control over data regarding security. The details of provider system operation are usually considered proprietary information and are not divulged to subscribers. In many cases, if we see the software that is employed by a provider is usually proprietary and not available for examination by the subscriber. A subscriber cannot verify that the data has been completely deleted from a provider's systems. So yes, these are some of the risks. And then the next characteristics, if we see elasticity, because these clouds give us an illusion of unlimited resource availability. The public clouds are generally unrestricted in their location or size. A public clouds potentially have a high degree of flexibility in the movement of subscriber workloads to correspond with the available resources. And they have low they also have low upfront costs to migrate into the cloud. Restrictive default service level agreements. The default service level agreements of public cloud specify limited promises that providers make to subscribers. So let's discuss about the next type of cloud, that is the private cloud. So the cloud infrastructure is provisioned for exclusive use by a single organization. Yes, private. If you see this term, I think we can be understanding with the term private, right? So it is a cloud infrastructure that is being used by a single organization, and it can, well, the organization will be one, but it can have multiple consumers. Example, the business units. It may be owned, managed, and operated by an organization, a third party, or some combination of them, and it may exist on or off premises. Some of the examples of private clouds are Eucalyptus, Ubuntu Enterprise Clouds, that is UEC, Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, VMware Cloud Infrastructure Suite, and Microsoft ECI Data Center. About the private cloud, if we speak, contrary to the popular belief, private cloud may exist off premises and it can be managed by a third party. These two private cloud scenarios exist. One is the on site and the other is the outsourced. The on site private cloud applies to the clouds that are implemented at the customer's premises. And the outsourced private clouds are the ones where the server's side is outsourced to a hosting company. So there are these two different types of private cloud. Now let's see how these both are working. So the first one, as I taught, was on-site private cloud. But here, the security perimeter it extends around both the subscribers' on-site resources and the private cloud resources. The security perimeter does not guarantee control over the private cloud resources, but subscriber can exercise control over the resources. Now, coming to the next one. When talking about the on-site private cloud, the organizations those are considering the use of on-site private cloud should consider firstly the network dependency, and the subscribers still need IT skills for implementing the on-site private cloud. The subscriber organizations will require traditional IT skills and they require to manage user devices that access the private cloud, and it will require cloud IT skills as well. So these are some of the skills. And the workload locations that we talk about, they're hidden from the clients. That is, we talk about on-site private. It is required to manage cloud's hardware resources and A private cloud, it must be able to migrate workloads between machines without inconveniencing clients. With an on-site private cloud, however, a subscriber organization chooses the physical infrastructure, but individual clients still may not where their workloads physically exist between the subscriber organizations. Then it has the risk from multi-tenancy. The workloads of different clients may reside concurrently on the same systems and local networks. It can be separated only by access policies implemented by cloud provider software. And sometimes a flaw in the software or the policies could compromise the security of a subscriber organization by exposing the workloads of the client to one another. The third one that I would like to talk, the next one that I would like to talk about is data import export and the limitation, performance limitation. So on-demand bulk data import and export is limited by the on-site private cloud's network capacity, and real-time or critical processing may be problematic because of the network limitations. Some more characteristics if you see, the next one is the potentially strong security from external threats. In an on-site private cloud, a subscriber has the option of implementing an appropriately strong security perimeter to protect private cloud resources against external threats to the same level of security as can be achieved for non-cloud resources. Then, significant to higher front cost to migrate into the cloud. An on-site private cloud will require cloud management software. The software has to be installed on a computer system within the subscriber organization. The cloud it intends to support process-intensive or data-intensive workloads. Then the software should be installed on numerous commodity systems or on a more limited number of high-performance systems. Then we have to install the cloud software and we have to manage the installations. And of course, when we do all this process, that will incur many significant cost. It will require high costing, if you say. And even if the cloud software is free, but still, even if much of the hardware already exists within a software within a subscriber organization, sometimes yes, it can be. And yes, of course, the limited resources and on-site private cloud, it has fixed computing and storage capacity, and it has been sized to correspond to anticipated workload and cost restrictions. So yes, sometimes we can say because it is intended for a particular organization, so obviously it will be having limited resources. Now, coming to the next type of private cloud, that is the outsourced private cloud. Outsourced private clouds has two security parameters. One of them is implemented by a cloud subscriber and the other is implemented by a provider. So here the subscriber and the provider both are having the security parameters. The two security parameters are joined by a protected communication link. And the security of data and processing is conducted in the outsourced private cloud. It will depend on the strength and availability of both the security parameters that we discussed, that is for the subscriber and the provider both. And of course, it will depend on the protected communication link. This is the link that is joining the two parameters between the subscriber and the provider. When we are considering, or when the organizations are considering about the outsourced private cloud, then these are some of the characteristics that needs to be considered. The first one is the network dependency. In the outsourced private scenario, subscribers should have an option to provision unique, protected, and reliable communication links to the provider. Then, because the workload locations are hidden from the clouds, so uh, they will be having hidden from the client. Sorry, when the workload locations are hidden from the client, then there will be risk of multi-tenancy and the implications are same as those of as we discussed about the on-site private cloud. Then, when you're working with the outsourced private cloud, then of course the data and import, export, and the performance limitations will be there. Because here, when we talk about cloud, yes, of course, there is a lot of data. There is a bulk of data. So, when the on-demand bulk data import or export is limited, and by the network capacity, because the network capacity is limited between the provider and the subscriber, and real time or critical processing. So sometimes it may be problematic. The network limitations that are there, it may be problematic when we are dealing with the demand, and when dealing with the bulk data, a lot of data we can say. So in the outsourced private cloud scenario, so however these limits they can be adjusted, although not eliminated, we can say by provisioning high performance or high reliability networking between the provider and the subscriber. The next one is the potentially strong security from external threats. As we were talking about the on-site route scenario, we saw that there are a number of techniques that are available to deal with the security parameters. So the main difference here, if we talk about between the outsource and the on-site, is that because the techniques that are applied to both the subscribers parameter and providers parameter and the communication links need to be protected. Yes, because here if we saw we have subscriber, the security parameter is linked to the subscriber, provider, and then there's a communication link. So we have to look after all these three parameters when we are talking about the external threats. Coming to the next one, next characteristics of the outsourced private cloud. Yeah, a modest to significant upfront cost to migrate into the cloud. In the outsourced private cloud scenario, the resources are provisioned by the provider. So the startup costs that will be required for the subscriber are negotiating the terms of the service level agreement, then possibly upgrading the subscriber's network to connect to the outsourced private cloud, switching from traditional applications to the cloud hosted applications, of course, and porting existing non-cloud operations to the cloud. Yes, and training. So here, just I'd like to talk about, like, yes, the application that we are having, we have to shift it to the cloud. So we will have to make some changes on it, because the application that we are using now, we cannot use it directly when we are when we are trying to use the cloud. So there has to be porting of this applications that are not working with the cloud, and we are going to the cloud. So obviously some changes will have to be made. Many of the applications we can't be using as it is. Then there are extensive resources available, and in the case of outsourced private cloud, a subscriber can rent resources in any quantity offered by the provider, provisioning and operating computing equipment at scale, a core competency of the providers. Coming to the third type of cloud, that is the community cloud. The cloud infrastructure here, if we say for the community cloud, it is provision for exclusive use by a specific community of consumers from organizations that have shared concerns. For example, they must be having the same kind of mission, they can be having the same kind of security requirements or policies or compliance standards. So can be owned, managed, and operated by one or more of the organizations in the community. So it is in the community, a third party, or we can say a combination of them, and it may exist either on the premises or off the premises. Some of the examples of the community cloud are the Google Apps for government and the Microsoft government community cloud. So community cloud, again, it will be consisting of different types like the on-site and the outsource. So the on-site community cloud is made up of a set of participant organization. Each participant organization may provide cloud services, consume cloud services, or both. And at least one organization must provide the cloud services. And each organization implements a security parameter. So all the organizations that are involved that are using the on-site community cloud, they are using or they are implementing the security parameters. And yes, of course, the number of organizations can be many. The clients will be accessing the community cloud from within their security parameters, and the community organizations they will be consuming the cloud resources. So they will be some will be consuming the cloud resources, and some will be providing the cloud resources. So this is how it happens in the on-site community cloud. Then coming to some of the characteristics of it or some details of the on-site community cloud. So here the participant organizations are connected to the links between the boundary controllers that allow access to their security parameters. The access policy, for example, access policy of a community cloud, yes, it can be complex, and if there are n community members, a decision must be made, either implicitly or explicitly, or how to share a member's cloud resources with each of the other members. Policy specification techniques like role based access control, attribute based access control can be used to express the sharing policies. Then the organizations considering the use of an on-site community cloud should consider network dependency. The subscribers in an on-site community cloud, they should either provision or control the inter-site. They should control the inter-site communication links. They can use cryptography over a less controlled communication media. For example, the public internet that we use. And the reliability and security of the community cloud depends on the reliability and security of the communication links. Then some other characteristics, if you see, yes, of course, even here, the subscribers that we are having, they will be requiring the IT skills as we are discussing earlier. So, any kind of subscribers here on any type of cloud that we are using, yes, we require some kind of IT skills. The organization in the community that provide the cloud resources will require the IT skills, and similarly, the organizations that are using, that are the clients of the on-site private cloud scenario, they also need the IT skills. And sometimes, yes, of course, they can be complex if you say the overall cloud configuration. If you see, they can be complex, and so the skill set that is required, we can say it is a higher level of skill set is required over here, not just the basic IT skills. And again, like other clouds that we're discussing, the workload locations are hidden from the clients. So the participant organizations that are providing cloud services to the community may wish to employ an outsourced private cloud as a part of its implementation strategy. Then coming to the data import, export, and the performance limitations. The communication links between the various participant organizations in a community cloud can be provisioned to various levels of performance, security, and reliability based on the needs of the participant organization. The network-based limitations are thus similar to those of the outsourced private cloud scenario. Then the potentially wrong security from external threats for the on-site community cloud. The security of the community cloud from external threats depends on the security of all the security parameters of the participant organization and also on the strength of the communication links. So these dependencies are essentially similar to those of the outsourced private cloud that we have studied earlier, but with possibly here we have more links, and so we will have to talk about more security parameters. Then the on-site community cloud, it is highly variable, and yeah, it can be also having some of the upfront cost, because when we want to migrate into the cloud, if you want to migrate into the on-site community clouds, all your applications that you have been using, if we have to migrate it to the cloud, so obviously there will be Not many, you will have to invest in it. The that we call as the upfront cost. So the upfront cost of an on-site community cloud for particular uh, for an particular participant organization, it will depend on whether the organization is planning to consume the cloud services or it is planning to provide the cloud services. So, if you are planning to provide planning to provide or planning to consume, so the cost that will be required will depend upon this. For a participant organization that wishes to provide the cloud services within the community cloud, the cost will appear to be similar to those of the on-site private cloud scenario. That is, we can say that is very sometimes it can be very high. So the outsourced private cloud. So this is just a small diagram of how the outsourced private cloud is working. So here we can see we have the organization, the side if we see the organization, this which are providing, and these are the organizations that are consuming. So here and so they're the providing. So we have written the cloud provider over here, and the other side you can see that they are the community members, and of course they have to look up the security parameters. So the provider here on the provider side, it is controlling the security parameter, and also if it is also blocking access for some. And in the user side or the community organization that are using or that are consuming the cloud resources, so they will access the cloud resources and it will be within their security parameters. So, organizations that are considering the use of an on-site community cloud should consider, firstly, yes, of course, a network dependency. The network dependency of the outsourced community cloud, it is similar sometimes to that of the outsourced private cloud. And but there's a small difference that the multiple protected communication links are likely from the community member, because yes, because here we are having many community members those who are using. So yes, of course, there are many links. So we have to look after it. And then the workload locations are hidden. And this is another characteristic that has to be considered. And the workload has locations are hidden from the clients, and they are the same as that of the outsourced private cloud. Then the outsourced community cloud, uh, it also has a risk of multi-tenancy, same as yes was it is near about same as that of the on-site community cloud, and the data import, export, and performance limitations are there. It will also have to deal with the potentially strong security and external threats, as we have already discussed on the for the on-site community cloud. So I will not go into details of it. And yes, of course, modest to significant upfront costs are required when we want to migrate into cloud. And yes, of course, it will also require extensive resources, and this resource, as I was talking about the extensive resources in the outsourced private cloud. So of course in the outsourced community cloud also we need or we require extensive resources. So this is one of the properties that needs to be considered. Now coming to the next one, the last type of deployment model that we have, the hybrid cloud. So till now, what we have seen is the private cloud, the public cloud, and the community cloud. So the hybrid cloud. So if we look at this term hybrid, so obviously we can understand that it is going to combination of the earlier cloud that we have studied. Yes, suppose the cloud infrastructure or the hybrid cloud infrastructure is a composition of two or more distinct cloud infrastructure. It can be either for private, community, or public that remain unique entities but are bound together by a standardized proprietary technology that enables data and application portability. Some of the examples are the Windows, Azure, and VMware vCloud hybrid cloud services. So if we have it, yeah. So if we talk about what is a hybrid cloud, yes, as I earlier I said, it is composed of two or more private, community, or public clouds. They have variations in performance, reliability, and security properties, depending upon what kind of cloud services you are using to form a hybrid cloud, right? So yeah, and so we can say that because it is combining different types of clouds. So yes, the hybrid cloud can be sometimes complex, and it may change over time. It may show some changes depending upon what kind of clouds are being added or what kind of clouds are being removed. So yes, the characteristics are going to change. Now, coming to the purpose of why the cloud computing is being used in organizations. Till now, we have discussed about the different types of service models, that is IaaS, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and use. So we have this and software as a service. So we have discussed these three models. We also discussed about the deployment models, public, private, community, and the hybrid cloud. So now let's know what is the purpose, why we are using the cloud computing in organization. Firstly, is that it provides an IT platform for the business processes involving multiple organizations. Then the second one is backing up of data. Then third, running CRM or ERP or the supply chain management application. Then providing personal productivity and collaboration tools to the employees. Then developing and testing softwares, storing large files that can be video, audio file, any kind of files. Then analyzing the customer operations data, and obviously the next one is running e-business or e-government websites. So so these are some of them, and yes, of course, we have many more which we'll be discussing in the next slide. Then we need it for analyzing the data for research and development. Yes, I was like when I started with, I told that when we are using the IoT platforms, we use this cloud computing because there is a lot of data is being onboard. In fact, yes, if the data, the cloud provides a good amount of backup to storing the data. It also processes and it analyzes the data, of course. So we can say that it can be used for the research and the development process. Then, meeting spikes in demand on our website with internal systems. Then, yes, the processing and storing applications. Then, running the data intensive batch applications like data conversion, risk modeling, and graphics rendering. Then, sharing information with the government or regulators, and providing consumer entertainment, information, and communication like music, videos, photos, and social networks. The top cloud applications that are driving cloud adoption. Yes, this we are using. So let's see where we are using it every day. Yes, of course, the mail and messaging that I have already discussed when we are sending the Gmail, the messaging that we are using. Then archiving, backup, storage, security, virtual service, customer relationship management, collaboration across enterprises, hosted PBX, that is private brand exchange, and video conferencing. So those are some of the applications that we are using. Now let's see why it is becoming important. Yes, because using high scale or low cost providers, any time or place access, we can be using this application from any time and from any place using our web browsers. It has rapid scalability, incremental cost, and load sharing. And you can't forget, need to focus on local IT because means you don't need to develop some kind of hardware or storage capabilities in your organization. The provider is there and you can be getting from that. And the concerns, because the performance, reliabilities, and the service level agreements, then the control of data and the service parameters, application features and choices, interaction between the cloud providers, then non-standard API, it can be mixed or so, and the rest, and the privacy, security, compliance, trust, etc. So those are some of the cloud suicide. Then coming to the next, yeah, cloud storage, I think. Yeah, cloud storage. So several large web companies are now exploiting the fact that they have data storage capacity that can be higher to others. So the cloud storage will allow the data to be stored remotely, to be temporarily cached on desktop computers, mobile phones, or other any other kind of devices that can connect to the internet. The Amazon's Elastic Compute Cloud EC2 and Simple Storage Solution S3, that we call, these are the well-known examples of this. Coming for the reasons now, the main reason for interest in cloud computing is due to the fact that public clouds has significantly reduced IT cost. From end users' perspective, the cloud computing gives the illusion of potentially infinite capacity with ability to scale rapidly and pay only for the consumed resources. This is a very uh, good thing about cloud that we call. And in contrast, provisioning for peak capacity is a necessity within private data centers, leading to a low average utilization of 5 to 20%. So, well, there are different types of clouds that are being used, and I have been discussing about it in the earlier slides too. That is, we have Microsoft Azure, we have Google, and all that. But I will just like to talk about one platform, that is a Google Cloud platform, because I think this is the most commonly used. Well, there are different clouds that I can't be discussing in detail about all of them. Yeah. So I will just discuss about the Google Cloud. So Google Cloud Platform is a set of services that enables developers to build, test, and deploy applications on Google's reliable infrastructure. The Google Platform is a set of modular cloud-based services that allow you to create anything from simple websites to complex applications. So yes, if you see here, compute, storage, and services. So these are the three types of the services that are being used. So why we are using the Google platform? We will be discussing this. We will be discussing these three characteristics or the compute, storage, and services in the latest slides, of course. So why we are using the Google Cloud Platform? Because they run on Google's infrastructure, built on the same infrastructure that allows Google to run billions of search results in milliseconds, and it can serve billion hours of YouTube videos per month and provide storage for 425 million Gmail users. Because of course, when we have started using this smartphones, especially Android-based phones, and all, obviously everyone has become a Gmail user. All those who are using especially the Android phones, so we are using this Gmail very commonly. And when we use this Gmail, we know that we'll be using all the Google tools. So yes, of course, this is the Google Cloud Platform. So yes, of course, it allows that it builds up a global network. It has redundancy and innovative infrastructure. So here we focus on your product, and it helps to rapidly develop, deploy, and iterate your applications without worrying about system administration. Google manages your application database and storage servers, so you don't have to manage your services, develop the tools and SDKs, and console and administration. Then, of course, it provides mix and match services, the virtual machines, the managed platform, blob storage, MySQL database, and big data analytics. So, Google Cloud Platform has all the services. The only your application architecture will need compute storage and services. Then It scales to millions of users. The applications that are hosted in the Google Cloud Platform can automatically scale up to handle the most demanding workloads. It can handle the most demanding workloads and scale down when the traffic subsides. And you pay only for what you use. Then there is scale up and scale down. If we talk about here, is right. So scale up is when the cloud platform is designed to scale like Google's own product, even when you experience a huge traffic spike. Managed services such as App Engine or Cloud Data Store give you auto scaling that enables your application to grow with your users. And then the scale down, where just as the cloud platform allows you to scale up and manage services also scale down, you don't pay for computing resources that you don't need. So this is the difference between them. So, and again, coming to one more future, yes, performance you can count on Google's compute infrastructure. It gives you consistent CPU memory and disk performance. The network and edge cache responses rapidly to your users across the world. CPU memory disk global network trans maintenance as well. And when you're using the Google platform, you just need to get the support you need. With a worldwide community of users, partner ecosystem, and premium server packages, Google will provide a full range of resources to help you get started and grow. Yeah. So these are the three characteristics that I was talking about the Google Cloud Platform services. First one is the compute. So the cloud platform will offer both a fully managed platform and flexible virtual machines, allowing you to choose a system that meets your needs. It uses App Engine, platform as a service, when you just want to focus on your code and not worry about patching or maintenance. Then you get access to raw virtual machines with compute engine and have the flexibility to build anything that you need. The second one that is the storage. So the Google Cloud Platform provides a range of storage services that allow you to maintain easy and quick access to your data. With Cloud SQL and Data Store, you get MySQL or NoSQL databases, while cloud storage provides flexible object storage with global edge caching. And the third, that is the app services. Use Google APIs and services to quickly enable a wide range of functionality for your application. You don't need to build this from scratch. Just take advantage of easy integration within the cloud platform. Then Google Platform services from user end. You need to consider your web application to Cloud Platform for better performance using the Google App Engine. Your application should go wherever your users go. Scale your application using the Google Cloud endpoints. And you have to integrate Google services into your application using the Google APIs. Now, coming to the advantages and the disadvantages of cloud computing. And yes, of course, we have a lot many advantages as well as the disadvantages too. So yes, the first one, if we talk low computer cost, because there is no need of a high-powered, high-priced computer to run the cloud computing's web-based applications, since the applications run on cloud, not on the desktop or your PC, so you don't require the processing power or hard disk space demanded by traditional desktop software. So when you're using your web-based application on your PC, this can be less expensive, but you don't require a big hard disk, you require less memory, and you require a more efficient processor. And in fact, your PC in this scenario, it does not require a CD or a DVD drive, as no software programs have to be loaded and no document files have to be saved because everything is being saved on the cloud. That. The second advantage of cloud computing is improved performance. With few large programs hanging into your computer's memory, you will see better performance from your PC. The computers in a cloud computing system boots and run faster because they have fewer programs and processes loaded into memory. Then the third one is the reduced software cost because you don't need to buy the softwares. You don't need to purchase expensive software applications. You may get most of them you need for free because it is available on the cloud. Yes, because the most cloud computing applications today, such as the Google Docs, suits better than, and of course, it is better than applying for similar commercial software because the softwares when they are being used for everything, and this can be a justification that we have to switch to cloud applications. Then the instant software updates. This I think I discussed when I was discussing about the different types of cloud models. Yes, of course, this is an advantage of using the cloud computing, where you don't need to, upgrading your softwares. You don't, you no longer face between choosing the obsolete software and high upgrade cost. When the application is web based, the updates will happen automatically available the next time you log in into the cloud, and the updates of your software will be done. So when you access a web-based application, you will get the latest version without needing to pay for or pay or for an or download an upgrade. You don't need to pay for the upgrade; it is automatically happening. And improved document format compatibility. You don't need to worry about the documents you create on your machine, because sometimes we have the problem that the documents that we create on our machine, they are not compatible with the machines others, or their operating system, or whatever different software they must be using. But when we are using the cloud, you don't need to worry about this. There are less format incompatibilities when everyone is sharing documents and applications in the cloud. Then, of course, it provides the unlimited storage capacity. It offers virtually limitless storage, and your computer's current 1 terabyte hard drive is very small compared to the hundreds of the petabyte that is available in the cloud. And it provides data reliability, in fact an increased data reliability, where unlike desktop computing, in which if a hard disk crashes, if when you're using your desktop and so if the hard disk crashes and destroy all your available data, a computer crashing in the cloud just will not affect because everything is stored in the cloud. So if your personal computer crashes, all your data is still out in the cloud and it is still accessible. So, in a world where few individuals, desktop PC users, back up their data on a regular basis, cloud computing, we can say, is a data safe computing platform. For example, yes, you must have seen these options, Dropbox and SkyDrive, when you try uploading it sometimes on the online sites. If you try to upload, you must have seen this option, Dropbox and SkyDrive. So, these are examples of the cloud. So yes, of course, using the cloud provides universal information access. But it is not a problem with the cloud computing because you don't need to take your documents with you. Yes, of course, you must be knowing that sometimes if we keep the documents in the Google Drive, right? If I keep it in my laptop, if I store it in my laptop, or if I store it in my mobile, then I will have to carry my laptop or I will have to carry my mobile. But if it is stored in the Google Drive, if let me go in any part of the world, if I just log into my email and just try to access the Google Drive, I can get all the documents. So yes, maybe that is the universal information access that is being provided by the cloud computing, because you don't need to carry your documents and you the documents stay in the cloud. You can access them whenever you have a computer and an internet connections. So the documents are instantly available from where you are. And of course, because the upgrades are happening automatically, you have the latest version availability. That we have discussed that when you are editing a document at home, that edited version is what you see when you access the document at work. And the cloud will always host the latest version of your document as long as you are connected. In this, I think you must have seen when you're using the Google Doc, whatever changes you do, you don't need to, in like going and see to see that. Like when you're working with simply simply the Microsoft Word or the Microsoft spreadsheet, you need to save it every time. But here you don't need to do it. The latest version is always available. It is automatically being saved. Then cloud computing allows easier group collaboration. The sharing documents leads to better collaboration. Many users will do this as it is an important advantage of cloud computing. Multiple users can collaborate easily on documents and projects. Then the next advantage is you are no longer tethered to a single computer or network. The changes that to the computers, to the applications or documents follow you through the cloud, and you move to a portable device, and your applications and documents are still available. Yes. Now, let's come to the disadvantages of cloud computing. Like, yes, in the earlier slide, as I was talking about, yes, of course, you will be needing an internet. Yeah, here, like here, as this discussed. Instead, your documents you don't need to carry with you. You can access them whenever you have a computer and an internet connection. So, yes, having an internet connection sometimes can be a limitation, because we can't have the internet access to internet everywhere. So yes, this is of course sometimes we can see a disadvantage of cloud computing, because whenever you want to access the cloud computing resources, you also require an internet connection. So cloud computing is impossible if you're not connected to the internet. Since you use the internet for connecting your applications and your documents, so if you don't have the internet, you cannot access anything. You cannot be accessing your documents. So a dead internet connection means no work at all when you are working with the cloud. And of course, we know that there are many areas where internet connection is not possible, or even sometimes the very unreliable or very very low speed internet is there. So if you're working in those places, so cloud computing cannot be a very good option. Okay. And yes, after the internet, it cannot work well when we are having low speed connections, such that we can found that the dial-up services makes cloud computing painful at best and often impossible. And the web the application that we are using, it will require a lot of bandwidth to download as to the large documents. So yes, of course, low speed connections are not preferred when you are using the cloud computing. The features might be limited, the situation is bound to change, but today, with many web based applications, I can see that they are simply are not as full featured as their desktop based application. For example, you can do a lot more with Microsoft PowerPoint than with Google's presentations or web-based offerings. Sometimes it might be, and the cloud applications can be low. Even with the fast connection based application, can sometimes be lower than accessing a similar software program on your desktop PC. Everything about the program, from the interface to the current document, has to be sent back and forth from your computer to the computers in the cloud. If the cloud computer servers they happen to be backed up that moment, or if the internet is having a slow day, you would not get the instantaneous access. You might exit from the desktop applications. And yes, this is the biggest, I can say, the concern, that the storage data might not be secure, because all your data is stored in the cloud. And so sometimes the unauthorized users can gain access to your confidential data. Well, yes, this security does sometimes exist, but still people are working on it to make the cloud, because if authentication is there, it won't be an issue. But of course, because the data is being stored in cloud, and it can be accessed by anyone, so yes, the question of security arises. And sometimes the stored data can be lost. Theoretically, if you say the data that is stored in the cloud is safe, replicated across multiple machines, but on the off chance that your data goes missing, you have no physical or local backup. So, but simply relying on the cloud puts you off at risk if the cloud lets you down. So, of course, so yes, as we were talking about, yes, everything is available in the cloud. We don't need to maintain it, but sometimes I would suggest that if you are, having a very confidential data which you think that you will be requiring, so of course you should be using it. And yes, HPC systems. So not clear that you can run compute intensive HPC applications that use NPI or OpenNP. Scheduling is important, and as you want all the virtual machines to be co-located to minimize communication latency. And some of the general concerns are that each cloud system uses different protocols and different APIs. So it may not be possible to run application between cloud-based systems. And Amazon has created a song system and workflow and many workflow systems out there. So your normal applications will have to be adapted to be executed on these platforms. So yes, of course, when we are shifting to the cloud, so there are some things that must have to be made. Yeah, and I think with this, I come to the end of my presentation. And thank you very much for listening to me. And if there are any questions, I'm open to it. So thank you very much. And of course, this was just in short, just an introduction of the cloud computing part. And in future, if I get a chance, of course, I would like to speak about more technicalities, the different kind of the issues that we are using. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for each presentation which can impact our knowledge seeker surely. After your presentation, I hope our knowledge seeker can learn something new, which was our only intention. Learn and grow together, IGP knowledge seeker. Once again, thank you so much, ma'am, for your presentation. Ma'am, it's now time for our question answer session, which is the one more valuable part of our regular webinar. Honorable ma'am, please stay with us. After a short video, we will back in our session part 2, which is the question answer part. Dear IGP knowledge seeker, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have a webinar certification and online quiz competition. Dear IGP knowledge seeker, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have a notification quiz competition. Welcome back, our participant. The IGP knowledge seeker, please ask your question in the comment box as much as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After the answer, we have a webinar certification and online quiz competition. Dear IGP knowledge seeker, please ask your question in the comment box as you want to know from our speaker. Thank you. After question answer, we have a webinar certification and online quiz competition. Ma'am, I think after your wonderful presentation, our participant can understand the topic very clearly. That's why no questions from our participants. So once again, thank you so much, ma'am, for your time in IGP. We have learned a lot from you with your topic. It will add some value to our day-to-day activity along with our academic and professional growth. Honorable ma'am, hope to see you again with a new topic and a new date. Thank you, ma'am. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome, ma'am. Honorable ma'am, before we move to the next webinar certification process, if you want to leave this studio, you can.
Okay, thank you.
Dear IGP knowledge seeker, our website is under maintenance. We will be back soon with our website. We are sorry for that, and don't worry, you will take your certificate for all the webinars soon. Dear IGP knowledge seeker, it's time for the most engaging part of this webinar, which is an online quiz competition, which is our regular webinar activity. Now, time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instructions carefully. Now, time for the online quiz competition. To join the online quiz competition properly, please follow my instructions carefully. For some technical problem, we cannot continue our quiz from our website. So, to join the quiz session, you have to go www.slido.com and find today's quiz code, and the code is 3202505. After a short video, we will start our quiz session. people, we are going to start our quiz session right now. Our first question is, what is cloud computing? Option 1, computing made up on condensed water vapor. Option 2, computing that allows us to deliver technology resource over the internet. Option 2 is the right answer. 91% people are right here. In the leaderboard, Cheryl is holding the first position. Our second question is, the three layer of cloud computing are public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. Option 1 false, option 2 true. Option 2 is the right answer, and 78% people are right here. In the leaderboard, Cheryl is holding the first position. Our third question is cloud computing. Option 1, another term for email. Option 2, using a network of remote server hosted on the internet. Option 2 is the right answer, and 100% people are right here. In the leaderboard, Cheryl is holding the first position. Our fourth question is, where is data stored in cloud computing? Option 1, internal servers. Option 2, external servers. Option 2 is the right answer, and 30% people are right here. In the leaderboard, Malsor is holding the first position. Our fifth question is cloud computing. Option 1, allow access to a stored area on a server. Option 2, allow software to be accessed through a web browser. Option 2 is the right answer, and 76% people are right here. In the leaderboard, Christiana is holding the first position. Our sixth question is, what is cloud computing? Option 1 is storing large amount of data on a single computer. Option 2, using the internet for data and programs remotely. Option 2 is the right answer, and 96% people are right here. In the leaderboard, Christiana is holding the first position. Our seventh question is cloud computing reference to. Option 1, presentation software. Option 2, storage of documentation, the internet. Option 2 is the right answer, and 96% people are right here. In the leaderboard, Christiana is holding the first position. Our eighth question is, which of these is an option about cloud computing? Option 1, business use the cloud to streaming operations. Option 2, cloud storage is safer than storing it in local servers. Option 2 is the right answer, and 74% people are right here. In the leaderboard, Himalayan is holding the first position. Our ninth question is, advantage of cloud computing. Option 1, users don't have to back up their own data and information. Option 2, information is stored on each user's computer. Option 1 is the right answer and 48% people are right here. In the leaderboard, Jimalian is holding the first position. Our last and final question of the session is cloud computing services are managed by the cloud provider. Option 1 false, option 2 true. Option 2 is the right answer. 96% people are right here. So congratulations to our online quiz competition winner top 10. Congratulations again. We will take a few minutes for finalizing the result and after that we will issue our online quiz competence certificate on our official Facebook page and group Institute of Global Profession. Congratulations to our online quiz competition winner top 10. Congratulations again. We will take a few minutes for finalizing the result and after that we will issue our online quiz competence certificate on our official Facebook page and group Institute of Global Profession. Congratulations to our online quiz competition winner top 10. Congratulations again. We will take a few minutes for finalizing the result and after that we will issue our online quiz competence certificate on our official Facebook page and group Institute of Global Professional. And in the last session we can say the rest of teaching us. Be happy and stay safe. See you again and again. We want your participation in every program. If you want to live a happy life, try to a goal not to people or things. Albert Einstein. Before I say or hit the end like button, again want to thank all IGP knowledge seekers for your active participation as always. See you again in the next session.